Hi everyone, Aidan here with etrailer. Today we're taking a look at the Yakima LongHaul RV bike rack on the back of our 2023 Jayco Alante Motorhome. This is going to be a hanging style bike rack. You've got our bike held up here by the frame with these two zip strips on top and a third one on the side here to limit our side to side movement. That's going to help with bike to bike contact and make sure that the bike doesn't maybe make contact with our motorhome either. It's going to be a pretty basic bike rack, honestly. You're not going to get a whole lot of features with it. Because it's a hanging style rack, you do want to avoid carbon frame bikes because frame contact can damage that. And then with alternative frame bikes or kids bikes, we're probably going to need a bike adapter bar to make sure that the bike fits on there nice and level. Aside from that though, you've got a 37.5 pound capacity per bike and it can hold up to 4 bikes. Just something to keep in mind whenever you're loading it up. With this though, if you're looking for a way to get many bikes to your destination on the back of your motorhome, this is going to be a good way to do it. A lot of bike racks aren't built to spec for motorhomes because there is going to be more shock and vibration back here compared to a typical passenger vehicle. So you have to make sure your bike rack is motorhome approved, and this one is. And of the options that are, this is definitely one of the more stable ones. Because it doesn't have so many points of movement, it is going to overall be a very solid option. I like that it's got some security features built right into it as well. In the very back of the mast, there's going to be a cable lock built in that will run through the frames of your bikes all the way up to the locking point right here, which is next to our bottle opener. So if you're worried about the security of your bikes whenever you're going to your campsite or your campgrounds, this is a great one to have because everything locks up on the rack really easily, built in, so you don't have to worry about forgetting it. Getting the bike unloaded is really straightforward. We're just going to undo those zip strips just by pressing the 2 tabs on the side and pulling the strip out. Now with those, they do just fully remove and they don't stay attached to the bike rack, so keep an eye on them, make sure they don't go missing, and then lift the bike up and away. I will say that with the height of the hitch, it does put the arms at a pretty tall height. I'm 6 feet tall, so for me it's like right at neck level, which isn't always the most comfortable thing in the world. You do have to lift the bikes up a fair bit, but it's nothing too terrible. I like to store these back on the rack whenever I'm done, so make sure that they aren't getting lost. And if you're having trouble with any of your frames maybe not fitting on those dual arms as well, whenever you're loading or unloading, these cradles can pivot up and help provide a little bit of extra clearance whenever you're loading up. Just watch out for those zip strips or remove them entirely if you need to. But that's just something nice for the loading and unloading. At this point, I'll go ahead and check out some measurements, starting with our distance added to the back of the motorhome. You can see this does stick out a fair bit. And going from the bumper, which is the furthest out point, it's going to be adding right about 36 inches. So it's not too bad, honestly, for 4 bikes. It doesn't stick out too far compared to some other racks out there. But let's say we get to our campsite and we don't want all this distance added to the back. We've got our bikes unloaded somewhere else, or maybe we're not bringing our bikes on this trip, but we don't want to have to worry about removing this from the hitch. The push lever on top folds those arms down, so it's really quick and easy, tool-free. And it condenses things down quite a bit, all the way down to only sticking out 7 inches now, or more like 7.5 to the cradles or the zip strips up top. But really, it's far more condensed this way, much more out of the way, so that's great to see. It does block this light just a little bit, no matter what state it's in, so that's something to be aware of with your motorhome. But otherwise, it fits on there really well. And the nice thing about a hanging style rack is that whenever things are unloaded, it's really not going to block anything like your ladder or your license plate like a wider platform style bike rack might. Moving on down the bike rack, it's attached in our 2" by 2" receiver tube here and comes with a locking anti-rattle bolt that keeps things nice and solid in the hitch. That lock is also key-to-like to the cable lock up top, so everything's secured. Our bikes to the rack and the rack to the vehicle, all with the same key system. And overall, if you're looking for a good way to transport 4 bikes to your destination on the back of your motorhome, this is a good way to do it. I'd maybe check out the Kurt Premium if you're looking for an option that can support kids' bikes just a little bit better, because the arms on that bike rack narrow in at the very end, so it's more accommodating to those smaller kids' frames. Otherwise though, this one's going to be just fine for most uses, and it's going to be really solid too. Thanks for watching.
Now we're going to go ahead and take it on our test course. First we'll start with the slaloms. This is going to show the side-to-side action. It's kind of going to mimic the movements that you'll see whenever you're driving down the road normally. And now with the fold speed bumps, these are going to be pretty much like normal speed bumps. You get to see the up and down action of the bike rack and see how it holds up. Now we'll have the alternating speed bumps. This is going to be more so like the uneven roads and some of that uneven terrain you might be traveling on.